Hello everyone, so for our computing lesson this week we're going to begin coding. So this is my final design for my code. As I said in the previous lesson, I chose the rainforest. So I've got lots of different animals and insects, and we're going to go through lots of different code that we can use to make your characters and objects do different things. So I'm just going to remind everyone that it's really important that you name your objects. So that's something that's really clear. So because I have 3 monkeys, this one's monkey 1, monkey 2, and monkey 3, so it's just really easy for me to see the objects. Because then when you exit design, you can see all of the objects here. So here I've got an object that doesn't have a name, so I'm going to go back to my design, I'm going to click, I'm going to go to name, I'm going to call it tree, and just click out, otherwise it doesn't save. Okay, so there's lots of different things that we can do with our code, and I'm going to be following this list so you can see all the different things that you can do. So for the first one, I want to set a background sound. Now some background sounds are longer than others, so the timer will depend on how long your sound lasts. So I'm going to drag the timer function, and I'm going to repeat this every 4 seconds so that it's on a loop, so that the background noise is continuously playing. I'm then going to drag the sound object, click the question mark, and I'm going to choose the sound that I want repeated. You can test them. Or you can just have the sound once at the beginning. So let me show you how we could do that after I do the repeated one. So I'm just going to go to scenes, because that's usually a sound that you can put in the background. So there's rain. So I might do that if I want it to seem like it's raining, or there's this. So I'm going to choose that one. So if I press play, it's going to repeat the sound and make it seem like it's continuously looping. Now, if I just wanted a sound to play at the beginning, so imagine your design was a magical fairyland, I would just drag the sound and choose magic. So when I play, it's just going to play at once at the beginning, but I want it to repeat. So again, I'm going to do a timer, make sure to change it to every, I'm going to do every 4 seconds, drag the sound and select the jungle. And if we test that again, we've got the sound in the background. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to make an object make a sound. Now there's lots of different ways you can do this, but I think the best way is if you click something, it makes the sound. So I'm going to choose this bird over here. So you need to go to the event section. We're going to drag when clicked. You're going to choose what you want to be clicked. So I decided the bird. If I want that bird to make a sound when I click it, I'm going to drag the sound command and click the question mark. There's a section for animals, and then you can choose the best one. So we've got here a bird. Let's test what it sounds like. I think that's really good. So let's press play, and make sure you keep testing your code every time you do something. So if I click this, it makes a sound. Now another important thing is always remember to save your work. So I just called it frog lesson because I'm teaching you all, but you can call it the name that you saved last week. So just click save and click OK. Now while that's saving, let's look at the next thing that we can do. So maybe let's try and add another sound for another animal. So when clicked, and make sure it's underneath because this is a different part of the code. I'm going to do the panther and then drag sound. Now, it doesn't matter if it's not a panther sound, but it's a big cat, so it's probably going to make a similar sound to that. So I'm going to choose that, then I'm going to press play, click my panther, and it makes the sound. Okay, now let's go back and see what we can do next. So we have a grow and shrink action that we can do. So let's see. Now there's things here that I could want to make it bigger or smaller. Let's choose the tree to make it look like it's growing. So I can start off the tree really small. So again, to do that, you select your object, you go to scale, and I'm just going to make it smaller. I'm just going to put it here. Going to return to the code. So let's do it when we click the tree. So when clicked, tree, I want to make the tree bigger. So I'm going to drag the tree, and then I'm going to click scale. So remember last week we learned that scale means size. So I'm going to click that, and each time I click it, I want to add 1. That's going to add 1 to the scale, so it gets bigger each time you click it. Let's see if 1 is enough. So let's press play. Yep, and as I click it, it gets bigger and bigger. So it looks like it's growing. Now the next action we can do is jumping. Now you completed an activity on PurpleMash called Jumping Monkey, which showed you how to do this. So in my code here, I even included a sound for when it jumps. So what we want to happen is when we click the frog, or whatever character you want to move up and down or left and right, you're going to move it up. Then to make it come back down, we want it to look realistic. So we're going to bring it down after 1 second, but we don't want it to keep going down the screen, we want it to just stop. So when clicked, frog, I want the frog to make a sound. And then I want the frog to move up. Now, if we don't do anything, the frog is going to keep moving. So if I click the frog, it's just going to keep moving up, but we don't want that to happen. We want it to come back down. So what we need to do is introduce the timer. So timer, and make sure it's inside the when clicked section. So when timer, after 1 second, we want the frog to come back down. So let's see what happens now. So I'm going to make it go up, and then after 1 second it goes down, but the problem is it will now keep going down. So we need another timer, and we're going to do after 1 second we want the frog to stop moving. Let's test that. Now I wonder if you can spot what's happened here that has just made my frog stop in the middle of the page. Now the reason it did that is because this needs to be embedded within the timer after 1 second to bring it down. Now don't worry if it vanishes, you can just press back and then we can drag it again inside. Okay, if it just vanishes, don't worry, we can do it again. So inside the timer, after 1 second, we want the frog to stop. So let's see if that works now. And to click, jumps up, goes back down. Perfect. Now, that doesn't just work for jumping, because if we look here, we have a fish. So if you have a space theme, you might want the alien or the astronaut to move left or right. Or if you have a fairy, you might want it to fly left or right. So let's see how we can change it so that it can make it look like something's moving side to side. So my fish is here in the water, and I want it to move when I click it. So when clicked, and make sure it's underneath, When clicked fish, I want the fish to move. So let's see, I want it to move to the left. I want the fish to move to the left. Then, after 1 second, so make sure it's under the fish, I want the fish to move to the right. Now, can you remember what happens if we just leave it like this? Let's see. It will just keep moving off of the screen. So we need to introduce another timer underneath. After 1 second, we need the fish to stop. Now let's test our code. Click the fish. There we go, and each time you click it, it will just swim back to its original position. Now, we can also introduce a swipe motion. So a swipe is just like moving something up in any direction, just like on an iPad. So I have an insect. So I'm going to drag the when swiped event. I'm going to make sure it's underneath the when click, don't want it inside. When swiped bug, any direction, but you can make this so that it will only work if you swipe up. But it's always easy, especially on a computer with a mouse, if it's any direction. And I want the bug to move up. So I'm going to click the bug, drag the bug object, and I'm going to move it up when it's swiped. I'm going to press play, and I'm going to swipe it up. Now it might take a few goes, but once you've got it, it's harder on a laptop. There we go. It will just move up. Now remember, you can always pause the video, rewind, or go back and find the code that you want to include in your code. This is just an example. Now we can introduce a key press. So when we press a key on our keyboard, something will happen. So I want it so that when I click M on my keyboard, one of the monkeys will speak. So when key, then on your keyboard you need to press the key. So I'm going to do M for monkey. I'm going to drag monkey 3 to the event. I'm going to just double check everything. So if I want the monkey to speak, on top of making a sound, I just click this here and choose speak. And inside the inverted commas, you want to type what you want the monkey to say. So I'm just going to do ooh, ooh, ah, ah, like a monkey. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. And then I'm going to drag the sound and choose one. Now let's see, animals. There doesn't seem to be a monkey sound. So you can see if we can find another sound that might work. Or you can record your own sound. So let's record. Okay, so you press this red button to record. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Let's press play. So it included me speaking, so I'm just going to record over it. So I'm going to press record again. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. And then you can keep going until you like it. So I'm going to press done and press play. And let's see when I press M on my keyboard. So that does work. I know it sounds very funny, but you can record your own sounds depending on what you want it to sound like. So let's go back. If if we want to do another speech action, I can do this for the snake. So this is when we click the snake, but we can do it so that when we click or press the key S on the keyboard, I'm going to make the snake speak and say hiss. Okay, and remember, always save your work. So if I press play and I press S, my snake is going to hiss. And again, you can add the sound there. So I'm going to record it again. Unless there is a sound. No, there isn't, so I'm going to record. Hiss. Hiss. Press done. I'm happy with that. So when I press play, press S. There we go. Okay. Now we have hide or show an object. So here, when you click something, you can make it disappear. Now, there's a spider here. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. So when clicked, spider, I want to make the spider disappear. So I'm going to drag the spider again, and I'm going to make it hide. Now, if you don't want it to show up ever again, you can leave it like that. So press play and it will just vanish. Or you can do it so that after a few seconds, so let's do after 2 seconds, the spider will appear again. So hide and show, we're going to press play, click the spider, it's vanished, and then after 2 seconds, it reappears again. Now we can also include a button that can change the background. So to add a button, you need to go back to design. Then there's a button object here. We're going to drag it on to the screen. And I'm just going to call this button, so you can change the name. And I can make the text bigger. I can change the text color and I can change the background. So let's make this green. And I'm going to make the text color dark green. You can also double click on the button and you can change the text. So I'm going to call this background. And then exit design. If that doesn't work, there we go. And then you can just drag it into place. Sometimes it takes a while to refresh the page. Go back. So here, when we click the button, called background, I want the background to change. Now that's the button called background, so maybe that's a bit confusing. We'll change that to B button. We don't want to get confused between the background and the button. So now it says B button. And this is the background, it has a computer screen. We're going to drag that. We're going to change the image. So background image set to, and I can choose another image. Let's choose this one. Yeah. Let's press play. So this is my original background, and when I press the button, it's going to change it. So this is just a little bit of fun. It might work better for things like a forest with fairies or space, but for my fish, poor thing, it's now out of the water. But that's how you can use a button to change the background. We can also make the characters move with the keyboard. So here I have this monkey at the bottom. So we can drag the when key. When we press the right arrow key, I want the monkey to go to the right, and when I press the left arrow key, I want the monkey to go to the left. So left arrow key to go to the left, press play. So if I do that, the monkey moves to the left, and then to the right, and then to the left. So left and right as well. So there's just some of the things that you can code, and make sure that this relates to the plan that you created 2 weeks ago, and try and test lots of different things and make things hide and appear and change the background. You can even change the images for the animals. So for example, if I have this snake, if I want the snake to change, I can do when clicked snake. I'm going to drag the snake and I'm going to change the image. So there's other animals here. So there's another snake. Let's see what happens. When I click the snake, it changes. So you can do that for lots of different things. Maybe you can make your own magic show with changing objects by changing the images. Now, I hope you'll have fun coding your project, and I'm excited to see all of your work. Have a great day.